We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the Top Gun Sales Bootcamp training. Welcome. Let's dive in fast. Nora, what you got?
I had 30% for yesterday.
So we've
Um,
got a ceiling of 30, which is better than 20s, and so you've gone up, and it's like okay. So in the PPA, the pressure point analysis through Life GPS CRM system, that system in the future will give you suggestions on how to move it from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70. And it'll give you coaching, maybe based on your personality, your perspective, your biggest challenges. It will help in doing that. Um, have you done anything with the phone system yet?
I'm trying to figure out, I was trying to figure out yesterday how to do the transferring. So, um, I've it all set up except for don't know how to transfer from the phone here in the office to my personal when I'm out
Okay.
doing
So the
stuff.
thing that's going
So,
to give you points is how do you clone your voice? Can you text or can you do texting or can you do so there's patterns in sales. When there's this type of personality, this is how I sell. When I have this person in this situation, this is what I say. So as you learn those patterns, you can automate your sales process. So if you can get when you get your sales process automated, you can gain points. The points reveal the sales. That's what it is. So you don't want to have points for points' sakes. Points don't go and pay any bills. So you do points, you're looking at so if you can go ahead and automate, 20, 50, 100 phone calls. And Life Masteries already has an automated system in place for making phone calls. So do you go ahead and use that system that they have, versus your phone system? I don't know. But imagine having somebody, having technology where you just know every day you're going to get 20, 30, 40 points and you don't have it costs you time, resources, everything on the upfront to set up the system. But once you have the system set up, you can count on those points. Now, if those points don't turn into appointments or sales at some point, well, then you can't count the points at some point, just like that, but it doesn't make any sense. But you're looking at how do you clone yourself? How do you become more efficient? How do you leverage? You're taking the course and leveraging. All of you guys would do well on the courses you go through. Why go through a course if you're not going to apply it? That makes no sense. So Kenny went through a storytelling course, and so I don't know, once a week he should share something on this about that storytelling course. So that's not only for benefit of all of you, where you guys could go through that course. So I have 3 degrees in business. I try to share what I've learned in those 3 degrees in business with you guys. So you guys get the degree without having to go through the time and the money and the work. I don't know. It just seems like a good thing to do. So the same thing is true with all of your experiences. And so Kenny's course, he paid, I don't know, $500 for the course to go through it. But if he doesn't talk about it, so you benefit other people and it reminds him. So what's going to happen? Because that storytelling course is not a reflex for him. So if he starts telling other people, yes, he's helping other people, looks like a nice guy, is a nice guy, helping other people do it, but it brings him as much or more benefit. The reason, I haven't gone through college and, it's been 30, 40 years, but I would say my college education, I get a lot more out of my college education than most people do because I continue to talk about my college education. This is what I learned. This is what I learned. This is what I learned. So it's continued to be fresh in what I'm doing. The reason I do that, I think, is because I paid for my parents didn't pay. I paid for my own. I worked really hard to pay for my college education. So I think the same principle. Anything else you got, Nora?
No, not right now.
Kenny, what you got?
So, I'm getting more into like the servicing part, and I think that's so I need to find out how to replace, yeah, clone myself, find somebody that can replace myself in the process of bringing him on and training him how to know when to bring him on, maybe the first thing, and then also it's hard to do both. It's hard to be on this call and do servicing work because of timing, the time of day. Um, so I don't know how to juggle both of those.
So, for a season of life, when you're cloning yourself, when you're cloning yourself, you're almost always working harder. Almost always working harder and working smarter. You're time blocking. You're not letting interruptions. You're running tight on time and efficiencies. You're making sacrifices. So you don't get to do as much fun stuff. You know, you're making sacrifices and you're working tighter. You're getting more disciplined in what you're doing. So I can go back if I need to. I don't know. The other day, I think I worked 22 hours straight, 20, 18, I don't know, something like that. So I can go back, and I'm 62. I can go back into my 20s when I was running hard and when I had kids. And, like this is like, I don't think I worked very hard. Nothing compared to what I did when I was in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. Like, holy cow, like that. This is a cakewalk. Like, this is not hard at all. And so once you develop that ability, and so and then you let people know around you. And again, for your personality, for the amiable expressive, it's crazy hard because you don't want to say no to people and you want to have fun. So my mom said, Mark, you're going to be working your whole life. You need to learn how to turn work into fun. And so, and helping other people do that. So Jojo, my 8-year-old granddaughter, she goes with grandpas and makes sales calls. Are they sales? Development with Alvin every week. And so the combination principle, where you're doing work, but you're also doing relational stuff. And so this is why I have an advantage as a driver analytic. I am a machine in work. Like Chi Tran, like with executive assistants, used to go ahead and have them shadow me for a whole month. Their first month of working with Synergy, they would shadow me. They'd just come over. I had an office out of my house, and they'd come over for a whole month and just watch me for a month. A whole month, all they'd do is watch me. And Chi Tran, he was our computer guy. He did it only for a week, and he said, Mark, everybody should do this. I'm like, why is that? He says, I've never seen anybody work like you. You are an absolute machine. Other people would say, you don't eat. You don't go to the bathroom. I'm like, well, if you don't eat, I'm not saying it's healthy, but no, people really said that. It's like, so a driver is going to look at big picture and an analytic is going to look at details. So I want to do things fast and I want to do things perfect. What about people making people happy? You know what? They get food on the table, roof over their head, they'll be happy. Like when we hit our goals, everybody's going to be happy. Like, be happy. What about fun? That is fun. It's so rewarding to go ahead and build something. It's so rewarding to conquer something. It's so rewarding to do. Like, it's so rewarding. It's unbelievable. And if it's connected into your life vision, why you're put on this planet, then you have significance. So you're working hard. It's not even hard. So you time block, you tighten things up. So those 2 months, 3 months that you did, whatever you did that, it's going to only get more. So, Kenny, like if some point you get married, you have kids, you still got to go ahead, you're going and your business grows, or your law enforcement. So, in the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, he talked about great companies. And it's the same principle, I think, with great families. Disciplined people, disciplined thinkers, discipline in taking action. So you're just a disciplined person. You're just a disciplined in how you think. Like you're going through and thinking in an algorithm. You're thinking, what's my decision-making process? How do I make the best decisions? Not how do I make decisions that feel good. Decisions that feel good, you base it based on feelings. So this is the quantum feeling model. And it leads to entitlement, self-righteousness, and victimhood. The vaccination, the vaccine against entitlement is thankfulness. The vaccine against self-righteousness is humility. The vaccine against victimhood is taking ownership. And then when you look at this here, the time frame for the perspective on time, like people are living in the moment, and so they don't. Today is yesterday's future and tomorrow's past. So an ideal individual, what they're going to do is they're going to have a vision. What have they been created for? Do they have intention and purpose? So even when I'm happier when my day is miserable than most people are happy when their day is happy, because it's got significance. Living a life of significance. Like the whole action vision system was the seed was planted when I was 19 years old. I think I've shared that story in the past. And so internalizing that story, you just think, do you know any 19-year-olds? Remember when you were 19? So here's a 19-year-old kid and his mom's like, hey, Mark, I'm concerned about you and your future wife. I was engaged at the time, and your future wife and family, and you're going to be a workaholic. And before my mom and dad died, both of them said, we're really proud of you. They didn't say that. I mean, almost never. Like in Baptist, you don't say proud. Like they just didn't say it. They're like, you really have done an amazing job with your marriage and your kids. You prioritize them. You have date nights, you have family nights, you go on vacations, you do all kinds of stuff in the midst of working 110 hours weeks. I mean, it's just, this is what you do. You're able to squeeze things in. It's fascinating to me on how people, and it's not unusual, people that are working 30, 40-hour weeks, and how balanced of a life do you have? A 3 or 4, 6 or 7. How can you have, because they're not disciplined. They're not running tight. Like it's like an instrument, like a violin, any stringed instrument. You have this string and it's tight. Like you can't have it too tight or it's going to break. You can't have it too loose or there's no music. Same thing is true with us. So the ideal is you're thinking towards the future, you're contemplating, but you're living in the moment. That's what I struggle with. I struggle with living in the moment. And then you're remembering the past for 2 reasons. One is for fond memories, and 2 is painful memories, so you can learn from them so we don't repeat the same stupid thing again. Questions on that, Kenny?
No, that makes sense.
So you guys, are you going to tag this as one of your favorite? I don't know. You guys get to decide. They all can't be the favorite, so which ones are the favorite? And hopefully, a media team will go ahead and get it done. And so, but these things, it's so much more than sales. Like it's so much more. It's about life. It's about significance. It's about like helping other people, impacting other people. It's crazy when you're selling something like you guys. You're selling, a home. You're selling an addition. No, you're not. You're selling dreams. Like you're selling dreams. You're selling, oh, you guys haven't bugged me about the book on the dreamscape. So I did a little work, and if you guys don't acknowledge it, if you guys don't read it, if you guys don't get feedback, I'm like, okay, they're probably, I do all this work into it. I do all this work into it, they're probably not going to appreciate it. Why? Because they're going to become entitled. I'm not doing them a favor. Like, are they going to really use it? Are they going to really appreciate all the work that's done into it based on what I'm seeing now? Probably not. So I'm not going to put a lot of time into it. All right. Anything else, Kenny, you got?
No.
Luke, what you got?
So when you were working 110 hours a week, did you use a combination principle to spend, was that 110 hours away from your family, or did you combine family with work?
I did do some combination. So there was some combination that was going on there. And so I did go ahead and before it was, before the technology was there, when I worked from home, it cost me $25,000 to bring in the technology. Because the fiber optics wasn't there, internet wasn't there. I mean, it was a lot of stuff to work from home. I almost lost my business in working from home. So, homeschooling the kids were getting older, didn't have the company where I wanted it to be, where it needed to be. And so I said, I'm going to work from home, and I almost lost the company because, so often team members don't work as productive when you're not around. And so it took a big risk, but so some combination, a lot of it's discipline. Like a lot of it's just discipline. It's just having routines. So every Friday evening, is a date night. Every Friday, it's just a machine. Everybody, the customers know, kids know, everybody knows. It's just how it rolls. Saturday evening was family night. And so it's just how it was. It's just, this is how it is. And so, so you can tighten things up, and then you communicate to the people. Like, I loved my work, but I would have rather not been working. I'd have rather been with my family. Well, you got to tell your wife that, and your kids that. You got to tell your family members, hey, I'm building something for the future. Like, this is for the future. So now, I have so much free time, it's insane. But going through the 30-day challenge, like, I worked over 20 years without understanding that. Once I had that down, then life was, because I learned leverage, I learned, the 10 principles for it. But you guys go through that, but you guys don't internalize it. Like, it's all given to you. You don't have to fight through. You don't have to discover something out of nothing. You just go through it and you're like, I got it. You don't. You just don't. So when you learn, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. There's 10,080 minutes in a week. If I don't have an abundance of time, the reason I don't have an abundance of time is because I'm not investing my time well. And so if you're thinking about into the future, for a driver, it's easy to do. For the other three personalities, it's not easy. So with my wife and my kids, like, it's like a bank account. I would invest into it. Same thing with friends. Any free moment I have, invest into people, because I know I might get hit business wise or opportunity wise where I'm going to go ahead and not be able to do that. So I need to do that ahead of time. I got to keep out in front of this situation. I don't want to get behind with my wife, don't want to get behind with my kids, don't want to get behind with my friends. Anything else, Luke, you got?
Nope, I don't think so.
Andrew, what you got, sir?
Question, how did you do all of that?
Discipline. Just a monster in discipline. Just my parents, were super disciplined, both my mom and my dad. I don't know how my mom found so much work for us to do. Like, it's crazy. We worked all the time. At my mom's funeral. My dad died, then my mom died a year later. At my mom's funeral, Like my brother, he got up and spoke, my oldest brother. And he's like, the Boersma kids, they all, like all my siblings do well financially because they know how to make money, a lot of money, and they know how to save it. They're frugal with it. My parents were super, super frugal. And so all of us kids have done well financially. And my brother said, he says, my mom and dad had it down really easy. They knew how to get their kids out of the house and working because you either went ahead, you either worked 40, 50, 60 hours as a kid, at home and didn't get paid anything, or you went out and found a job. And so we just worked at a very young age. And so it's just discipline. It's just, again, before I read the book, Good to Great, discipline people, discipline thinkers, discipline and taking action. I mean, the Bible says, capture every thought. What does that mean? Capture every thought. It's controlling the mind. It's disciplining the mind. So disciplined person is disciplined in mind. I mean, when I was 15 years old, I realized I had an addictive personality. And so I said, Mark, you can never touch alcohol. You can never touch drugs. You can never touch smoking. Shoot, you can't even have a drink of coffee. I'm 62. I've never had a drink of coffee in my life. Like it's just discipline. And as you get older, it gets harder to be disciplined. I mean, Ralph Miller, one of my mentors, he went ahead and his mom was 96, I think. She was on like 3 board of directors. Like she didn't need to make money, but she was 96 years old. She's traveling all around the world at 96 on board of directors, being productive. She's like, Ralph, he's 70. She's like, Ralph, you know what the problem with old people is? He's like, no, Mom, what's the problem with old people? They're lazy. They're lazy. I don't know. Does that help, Andrew?
Yes.
Other questions?
No.
Anybody else have anything else?
No.
No.
So I don't know how to help you guys all care. I think I've always been an empath, always had I've always had the ability to, but it's been developed over the years, but and so I just care too much. Actually, people say, Mark, you care too much. Like Cindy Bishop, she was one of the Action Vision coaches, and I went around the virtual room, and there were, I don't know, 5 of them or whatever. And I went ahead and asked everybody what's one suggestion on what I could do to be a better leader, and she said to care less. She says you care too much. Copy that. So I don't know how to teach you all to care. Like with Andrew, he's coming on, and like I mean, do you guys care about him? And how do you care more? And how do I help you all realize that when you're caring for him, you're actually caring for yourself? I mean, I don't know. I was 11, 12-year-old boy, something like that. And, there was a single mom that came to our church, my dad's church, and she had a very active little boy. She had a very, very active little boy, and he wouldn't pay attention, and whatever. And I'll never forget the feeling. Never forget the feeling where I'm like, hey, you want me to take him and help him? And she just looked at me and melted. I'm like, that's a cool feeling. Like, that is a cool feeling. Like, and so I still love to do that to women, to my wife with the grandkids, to my daughters with their kids. You know what? She's giving you issues. Grandpa will take it. Then she just looked at me and melted and she said, "Thank you so much." Like you get that feeling and it's like, but it wasn't because I was some great kid. It didn't go to my head like, "Ooh, you're a really great kid." No, I mean, there was intention in it. And it's like, you know what? I'm gonna practice for my own kids. Like at 12, I'm like, might as well practice. And so, so Lincoln, when he and I last time at church, like Mikey when we were at church on Easter. Man, he sat still, he was quiet, but he's moving the whole time. Like he's squirming. Like the whole time his whole body is, but he's 3, right? So that's what 3-year-old boys do. They're just active. So, I don't know that Lincoln will remember, that Sunday with me, but I'll always remember it with him. Like we go around and we look at things and there's all kinds of spiritual lessons. I think there's more spiritual lessons outside the sermon than there are inside the sermon. This is where, WIFM, what's in it for me, the concept of selfless selfishness. Like everything we do is selfish. This is the inoculation for self-righteousness. If there's a purpose, there's a reason. It's the number one, white paper of all. Because if you can get people off, you're not that smart. You're not that righteous. You're not that kind. Like everything you do, everything you do is selfish. Okay, that's built into us. It's not wrong inherently. What's wrong is to think that we're better than other people. What's wrong is to think that I am so giving, I am so caring. That's wrong. Because then you don't learn. You're not humble. You're prideful. And you get entitled. And then you become a victim. And then it's just it's just crazy. So those things interconnect. So I would go through and, you guys want to have the experience. And so you guys have been after it for 4 months. Andrew's brand new. How do you get him acclimated? How do you get him up to speed? How do you go ahead and help him accomplish more in a month? The first month of being part of this, how do you help him do that in more in a month than you guys did in 4 months? Like, how do you, it's like being a parent. Like, you want more for your kids. You don't want your kids to go through the pain and the suffering that you went through. You want to bless them. You want to take all your years and you want to give that to them. You want them to build on your success. That's what being a parent is about. And so practice it now. If you don't have children, practice it now. If you're not married, practice it now. You'll be a better spouse. You'll be a better parent. You just will. Hopefully this has been helpful. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.